have a marketing expert here today with us, and his name is Sergio Lopez. Again, another person that knocked on our virtual door and said, "Hey, I want to support the 10 days of connection. What can I do?" And we basically said, like, Sergio, just come and share your awesomeness with you. So without further ado, Sergio, please take it away and use your 20 minutes as you wish.
Thank you so much, Joan. Thank you all for being here today, spending some of your time with me. I am honored to be here. And let me just share my screen with you. Share. All right. Okay. So my name is Sergio. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Sergio Lopez. I am a marketing strategist based in Miami, Florida at the moment. I have my background working with event management companies for the past 5 years now. And I moved here from California, from San Francisco, where I was able to work with very small startups to bigger corporations. And that had me some good experience in the event strategy that I want to help you guys with a really easy 3-step guide to optimize your event strategy. So the problem I always found in some of the clients that I was working with was definitely that doesn't matter the size the company was. They could be successfully creating events and engaging with their audiences, or they could be just a small startup trying to reach out to their audiences. The missing piece usually to go farther that level where they could not grow their events anymore was usually the going back to the root, going back to the main strategy guidelines. And so today I want to share with you these 3 easy steps to make sure you're hitting all your goals and reaching all your expectations for every event, for the event you're going to be hosting in the next 10 days of a connection event. So the first step, I know actually Mark gave us a really good already field for me so you guys can understand what I'm going to be explaining today easier. But the first step I really want you guys to go into is to define your goal or define your goals. And why is because many times I've seen my clients, they have goals that are not really in alignment with what they're doing. And what I want you guys to think about is really find a goal or your goals in terms of in terms of them being, first of all, measurable, that something that we can actually, that is actually tangible and reachable. I always like going through my clients' goals on these 3 points and really figure out what we really want to take out from the event, who we're really trying to connect with and engage. And yeah, it's always going to be coming back to the whole event. The reason for the event is always going to be coming back to our main goals. So let's say we have an event where our goal is to create awareness on a certain topic. How are we gonna make it happen? First of all, we need to know how many people we're trying to reach. We need to make sure that it's reachable, so we can have like a real expectation, you know, like really touch ground level and see how we're gonna make it happen. And yeah, and finally, yes, if it's tangible, if it's something that we actually can measure and really use as our starting point, then I believe we can have a really successful experience. On the second step is something that I always find very useful, especially because a lot of companies, again, they can be super successful or successfully launching their organizations. And a lot of mistakes that I see is taking their target audience for granted. So basically, building personas is nothing but going to having like a card where I'm gonna have all the demographics, all the habits, all the best timing to reach out to people. You know, we're here and we're talking about diversity here, and that's exactly the point. We miss so much how the best ways to engage with people, right? Sometimes we believe just going on Facebook and promoting our event is going to have the impact that we want. But if we actually can make a card for each person that we're going to be targeting, not each person, but actually each segment that we're going to be targeting for our event, then it's going to be way easier for us to understand when, how, and with what type of message it's going to be more engaging to our different audiences, right? And an example for this would be if we're targeting maybe a younger crowd, maybe I don't know, during the afternoon is going to be a better time to post on social media, whereas if we're targeting someone who works a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday work, maybe their lunch break it's going to be better, or their commute while they're commuting to their work. So it always is very important. I've always found super helpful and important to have these cards where every single detail about my target audience is, and therefore I can create better strategies for them. And well, the third step is getting creative. Again, I think, and I believe Mark already touched a very important point on this. We really need to make sure of 3 stages of our events. The pre-event strategy is going to be, everything is going to be linked back to the first 2 steps. So are we trying to reach out to a younger crowd, and what's the goal that we set for them? Then that's going to make like a strategy, to at least one strategy per profile, per goal. And that's going to make us have a better promotion pre-event. Maybe a younger crowd will prefer like a giveaway opportunity, or maybe we can see on like what are the main touching points for them to actually engage with us and want to share their event with their friends or loved ones. Maybe that's going to give us an idea on which strategy to use on which social media platform. Are we going to be sending our message through Facebook, or are we going to use Instagram for other crowds? And maybe it's not even social media. Maybe we need to use a different strategy for a different persona, and that's going to be a word of mouth promotion. So it always is very important to go through each segment, each profile, and link it to the main goal that we want to achieve in this event. The same applies for during the live event. I think I saw someone had a really nice background picture. So is that a good way to engage with people and make them feel they are in the room? Now that we're going digital, maybe that's a really good strategy we can use. So developing all these strategies during the live event, trying to engage with different communities. What do they value? What do I value that maybe I wasn't considering? And then, of course, the post-event, and again, Mark already touched so many of these points, but yes, the post-event strategies are also super important. Let's say that the main goal is to create awareness, or maybe it is to actually get people sign up for our newsletter. Do we want them to actually join our community? So once we have the step one, we link it to the step two, we can create better strategies for each one of them. And it all comes down to, I know these 3 steps are super easy and you guys can do them at home. So this is why I think it's so important, because so many times we just focus on the outcome we want to have, but we don't really have this structure that will give us a better, like a real optimization of our strategies. And then, so now I think we have some time for questions, and I think we have some time for questions. And if you guys need any farther, I wanted to have a brief conversation about this. If you guys have any questions regarding your events, now it's the perfect timing. If we don't have enough time for everyone, you can always go back to I think it was the welcome email, where you can set up some time with me and we can have one-on-one conversations to optimize your strategies together. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias, Sergio. Would you be so kind to stop sharing your screen so that we can see everybody and everybody can see you for the Q&A? Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? If not, I'm gonna chime in. But feel free to raise your physical hand or your virtual hand, and I'm happy to open up the mic for you. Okay, so Mark has a question for you, Sergio. He says, in the age of viral posts and videos, how do you think you stand out when announcing events on your social media?
All right, that's a very good question. I think with this boom in viral posts and videos, I think, again, just linking back to what our audience really values is very important. So maybe what are we trying? I think viral, for example, goes to a lot of people, but do we really want? It all goes back to our goals. It all goes back to what do we want? Do we want people coming to our event, creating awareness about something? Do we want them to sign up? The word viral is very trendy at the moment, but are we really reaching the goal that we want? I believe if we focus on the right moment, the right messages, and the right ways to engage with our audience, we don't really need to go viral if we really create a good strategy, if we really target properly, and if we really have our goals set up. I think the most important thing to do is to really create content that's relevant for the audience that we want to reach.
I couldn't agree with you more, Sergio. Like the importance of understanding your why, right? And who are we targeting and for what? I must say, friends, like with my radical partners hat on, we're all trying to bring everybody to the table in a way when it comes to posts and viral things, right? So 2 things to keep in mind. One is how algorithms work. right? So the more people you tag, the more people you comment to your post, and the more you share, the algorithm starts going up, right? So that is definitely the science behind it. So it's sometimes it's a matter of chance and luck, but it's also a matter of the algorithm, right? So when you're thinking about these posts that Sergio was saying, like once you understand who your audience is, what is it that you want to accomplish, you're going to be able to tailor that so that hopefully that post becomes viral with your audience. But the other thing that I wanted to highlight as well is how are we supporting others, right? And then the 10 days of connection is a great opportunity for us to go viral because we're supporting each other. We can like our things, we can comment our things, we can share our things, we can enhance our social media, send people to different platforms. And the the idealist brain in my head is like, we're all in the social impact space, so how can we enhance and make that bigger? But in all honesty, if we get to be selfish, like the more we enhance others, the more eyes will get on our stuff as well, right? So if I take Krisha as an ACLU, right, I could say, look, ACLU is doing this in Miami, look at them, follow them, I genuinely mean it. But in the end, my audience comes from me, they know that I'm referring them to ICLU, so it's the more the merrier here. The more we share, the more viral it gets, and the more we're supporting each other in our causes, which are in the end different missions, but we all want to open up spaces and build tables with the different people that we're serving. So hopefully that would encourage you to tonight, when you're going to Instagram, liking things, commenting things, sharing things from others, which will help them, but also bring eyes to you.
That is so true. And that's why I made so much emphasis. I think we need to really pay attention to, again, like if we're able to engage with our target, if we know what triggers them to actually share those posts, and if we know that, let's say, I can't think of an example right now, but like different targets are going to be using different channels, and different channels are going to be having different the algorithms work differently, right? Like LinkedIn versus Facebook versus Instagram. So what exactly we need to do? First of all, I mean, yes, definitely, it's a great practice to always see how the algorithm on each platform works, so we can engage better and make make our content more like viralable. But always, I believe always going back to really having an impact on the target that we want um, to reach. And and yes, I mean, it always goes back to, I think it always goes back to having the persona profiles, understanding what they need and what content, how they want the content delivered, and checking which strategy is gonna work better in which channels.
So
But
we have two more questions that here that I would love for you to share some thoughts on. One is coming from Rocio, and the other one I understand is coming from you, right, Beth? Okay. So why don't you ask your question, Beth? Then Rocio, you can ask your question real quick. And then Sergio, if you can just try to answer both of them at the same time for the sakes of time. So Beth, I go to you.
Really fast. I don't really have much of a question, but more of a piggyback on the videos going viral and sharing. I mean, I see content all the time that I would love to share, and I just don't because it's not captioned. And I know my audience of people that follow me on all of my social media platforms appreciate captions. And if it's not captioned, even if it's great content, I never, ever, never share it. So I think that's a really big piece. It's just you have to learn it, but there are people there to guide you along the way. And I think that's really important because just so you know, statistically, ASL is the third most used language in the United States. So that's a whole lot of people that we're missing out if it's not captioned. So with that, with time, I want to respect it. I'm done. So thank you so much for letting me chime in, Joan.
Thank you. And Rocio's question is, Sergio, for you to please provide some ideas when working with partners. So to give a more concrete example, if they're co-hosting an event with another organization, what are some tips that you can give her for them to promote the event?
As in to promoting the event itself, right?
You can go ahead and elaborate more, Rocio. Go ahead.
Yeah, so since this, hello everybody, since this event is going to be in partnership and the 10 days of connection actually invite us to work in partnerships, right? So I just want to know if there's some specific things that we need to definitely consider when you work with a partner. Also considering that the partner might be a new relationship for you as well, right? So any ideas on how to, maybe they are more active in social media than we are, or the opposite? Maybe they are more in the community than we are. So how can you balance those the way they reach their audience and the way we reach our audience to make it fair for both organizations?
Right. That's a great question, actually, because each organization is going to have their own like values, their own mission, right, and their own vision. And I believe when partnering together, it's the perfect example that we need to have our own guidelines. They need to have their own guidelines, and together we can find a middle ground. That's what I always found useful. For example, for example, when having big congress where different brands are working together, it's always we all need to be heard. So what I would do is I would definitely try to go back to my guidelines, try to share them with the other corporation, and try to find a middle ground between the two of them. I think that there should not be, I mean, the messaging can be together, but also separate. I don't know if that makes sense, but like you can find like a message for the two, 3 partners that everyone can use for the event, but you can also have your own messaging for your own cause, your own goals to set, to find your own path in that way.
Thank you, Sergio. I'm going to piggyback on that, Rocio, to give you a very explicit example, because the 10 days of connection is a perfect example of that. So a strategy that we use is we try to do the work for you. So we do that by creating Twitter backgrounds, by creating social media posts, by creating language that you can grab and take, right? So when you're working with a partner, it's always gracious for you to say, look, we created this, here you go. But then also going back to, I think I mentioned in the last workshop as well, to our mantra of impact versus ego. You also, from the organizational standpoint, have to be okay with them owning that. So I will create the template for you all. But if you insert a red logo on top of a green logo, I have to be okay with that. Because that's when we meet halfway, right? Like we create this for you, then you own it, then you take it. And then that's what Sergio is saying is, how do I give you my guidelines? How do I consider yours? And then each of us do whatever we want with that. So when it comes to images, for you to have templates that you could both make your own to reach your own audiences, but then in a way that it still feels unified. So either they tweet, you retweet, either you create a post with both logos. So always thinking of the partnership and how can you enhance each other. And as talking and having the difficult conversations is all that we try to do here, I have to confess that some organizations are very picky with their brands and where they want to go, right? So for you as a leader, Rocio, if you're clear on like, we go impact versus ego here, and that means my organizational ego, right? Who do I want to reach? What is the best way to do it? If they have a great idea that's better than ours, you can go ahead and play with it. But then the other way around, if they are very stubborn in what they want to put out, for you to hopefully work in an environment where you will be able to say, I see it, I understand you want to go that way, but let me tell you why this matters and why this is the way to go. And hopefully if you're working in partnership, you will find a common ground there. So I'm hoping that was helpful. Okay, friends, so this has been a lot. And I know that some of you are probably thinking, because we are RP are doing the same thing, like, great, we've been doing this greatly, but then some other things you're like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that, etc. It is a lot, and I just want to recognize that.